quite a milestone. 301 podcasts. Who would have thought, Jared?
Yeah, actually, not me. Not me. I don't know why we still do this, but here we are.
I mean, our podcast has spanned 5, 6, 7 cities, numerous countries, numerous time zones. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah. We've recorded a podcast in the United States, multiple states in the United States. I can't even name them all. Michigan, Louisiana, Pennsylvania. Where was I? Oh, Tennessee.
Yep. Did we do one when you were in North Carolina?
I don't think so.
Okay. We'll have Missouri coming up later this summer as well. So
there's certainly others states that I can't think of that I'm sure I've done a podcast in. And then also, we got Germany, Czech Republic, China. What other countries do we have in there? I'm sure you've been to some other countries.
We did podcasts when I was in Mongolia, didn't we?
Yes, we did. We did record some while you were in Mongolia. Okay. That's right. Yep. Yeah.
Bali. Can't forget Bali.
Definitely did a good number in Indonesia. Yep. Yeah.
We could have snuck one in during my layover in Seoul, but we didn't squeeze that in. So,
at the airport, that would be bold.
Right? Yeah, well. Had to call up a buddy from high school to let me do the podcast from his cubicle, but here we are, Jared.
Seeing those cubicles are really giving me flashbacks. I've spent a lot of time in a cubicle that looks just like that.
Well, actually, the friend who let me in, he let me into your office.
Luckily, my newest place is not cubicle-based, but...
Nice.
Still, flashbacks, don't like it.
Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here today to talk about work relationships and also a little bit of work culture in different countries around the world today. Because, you may be buddy-buddy with some of your coworkers, but if you decide to move to a different country and work there, you might not always be able to be buddy-buddy with all your coworkers. So just look out, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. And without further ado, I'm happy to introduce my co-host and my good buddy, Jared. What's going on, Jared?
There's a fine line at work between colleague and friend, and you gotta play that line very carefully. A frolic. That's what I call them. Yeah, this is my frolic, Jeff. Yes, we're getting a drinks together, but don't get it twisted. We're frolics. I actually
had going to the bar. He's not coming to my house.
I had an interesting frolic moment. Like a week ago, we had a outdoor get together at a lake, a very Michigan thing to do. Mm-hmm. And one of my frolics asked me if my girlfriend had got vaccinated, and I had to be like, we broke up, so I don't know. And actually, which was fine. It was a little awkward because then it was quiet after, and I'm like, now it's weird. Yep. But anyway,
you could have just been like, yep.
Well, that's the thing. I did. The same guy actually asked me because I had mentioned however many weeks ago that I had gotten my first shot. Then he's like, "Oh, did your girlfriend? Does she get her shot?" And I was like, "She gets it in a couple days." It was almost like a reflex to just make up that lie. And then he asked me again, and I'm in my head, I'm like, I don't know how long I expect to keep this thing going. And they're all here. I can do it all at once. I don't have to say this again,
right?
Because they're all right here. So that's where I literally had it felt like a minute, but I had a split-second decision in my head where I'm like, am I going to lie to these people again? I could so easily do it, or am I just going to tell the truth so we never have to talk about this again?
Right. And that's probably the better route to go.
I think so.
Yeah.
But there, it is like a workplace decision. Like I really had to make a business decision.
Right.
And I have so many stories like that. But that just mame me think about that.
All the single lady coworkers at your office are going to be PMing you on Teams, bro.
Hey, Jared. It does happen. I've never been in a situation like that ever in my life where I've been anywhere close to being. I've never been close.
Never
at
had
all
a coworker
to
slide
getting
in your
romantic
DMs, Jared.
No, I've never been anywhere close to getting romantic with a coworker. Like it's never the idea has never even been breached. Have you ever been in a situation where you have the opportunity to get romantic with the coworker?
I have, and I've never taken them.
Yeah, well, good. I mean, that's the golden rule of untranslatables regarding work there.
Okay, that's not fully true. Not fully true.
Chad, you don't have to lie. It's me.
My first ever job.
Okay, that's fair. I'll allow
my
it.
first ever job, there was a coworker I had. I was 16 in high school.
I'll allow it. That's different.
And in my defense, Jared, she came on to me.
Mm-hmm.
She came on to me.
That's what you told HR when they asked you about it?
Exactly. I got a high five from the HR manager, and they were like, nice.
Being 16 and working at a pharmacy, I'll let that fly, you know. That wasn't...
She was 18 and had a boyfriend, bro.
Yeah, I mean, if that were to happen to me at 16, I would certainly take that as well, because in my head, I'd be like, first of all, I'm never going to get this opportunity again. And who cares? This is not my career, you know. Like, I'm not going to be here for like. Wait, I'd risk it a job for this.
No, Jared, I think that's the reason why I never became a pharmacist. Right there,
I can get another pharmacy. But yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. By the way, I'm supposed to say to follow us on Untranslatable Podcast on Instagram and Untranslatable One on Twitter. Maybe one day you'll actually get to see pictures of Chad's van in some sort of camp-based location. I don't know how much you've heard of this beginning of the podcast because I haven't edited it yet, obviously. But now he's trying to rope me into it.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, let me rephrase. I want your advice, Jared. I don't really want to ask you a question. I want your advice. So you mentioned that it would be cool to have some artwork in the van, and I 100% agree. But I'm trying to think what would be the best, but also, I want something that's fast and easy as well.
I would say one of your favorite pieces of art, something classy, but just in poster form, like what is it? Der Kuss? What's
Der Kuss?
Der Kuss? Yeah, not Kuss. Like maybe something like that. You know, it's classy, but just in poster form. You know, $10 or whatever. Easy to move around and to take down and put up, something like that. Maybe you mentioned you have some sort of lighting in there. Maybe some sort of something hanging from the ceiling of some. Oh, I did mention those stars, like we used to have in our rooms.
Right.
That has the solar system on the ceiling. Might be a nice touch or something like that. Those are some things I had in mind.
I think a tapestry would be cool, but like the way the ceiling is, I would have to probably like cut it, and you know what I mean. Like
you
that
could
does
put
not sound easy.
But you could just put like some sort of like big piece of cloth over the top of the roof, where so you're not actually like sticking stuff. Oh, Jesus Christ! So you're not actually sticking stuff to like the actual metal or whatever it is, or like whatever material is up there, but you have some sort of just like black cloth over it. How much headroom do you have?
Like I can sit up in my bed, and there is about half an inch to the top of the ceiling.
So you can't stand up in the van?
No. You got a hunch.
I don't know. I'd have to see it. I haven't even seen it in person. I don't think I have a good idea of the space that you're working with.
That is true. Thankfully, though, so far all of the supplies I've gotten fit underneath the bottom of the bed, which works great.
The best decoration I would like to see on it?
What's
mud
that?
From you and dirt
off-roading?
And grime from you, not from off-roading, just from you actually going somewhere with it, other than your local grocery store, or excuse me, not grocery store. You don't go to grocery store. I meant to say A&W.
Ooh, do enjoy me some A&W.
I could definitely see you sitting out in the back of your van in the parking lot of A&W, like some sort of 50s greaser or something, trying to pick up ladies.
I gotta get the leather cruising. Jacket, and then I'm good to go, Jared.
Chad smokes cigarettes now, just when I'm at A&W.
That's right, darling. I'm hopping in the Transit Connect.
Let's connect in my Transit Connect. Hey. I have at this point no interest in what the. I'm going to be honest with you. No interest in what the decoration is. I just want you to go somewhere. That's what I want.
That's fair.
And now you say you have these 3 places. You're choosing them apparently based off of how far it is away from me. Just so you know, if anything bad happens, I'm not coming to save you. This is part of your journey. You have to learn how to
I don't
survive on your own.
How are you going to save me?
So I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. So you being
What
close,
do you think I'm going to go rock climbing and then like call you like from the bottom of
Chad,
like a gully and being like, Jared, save me?
I don't know what's gone through your head, but I'm sure every possible terrible scenario has gone through your head.
Only bear attacks.
And I wonder why you're
Coyote
choosing.
attacks.
I say that only because I wonder why you're choosing places based off of how close they are to me, especially since if I'm not mistaken, and I could go back and check the footage. But I feel like you
Check the
said
receipts.
yesterday that you wanted to go somewhere on the West Coast, and now all of a sudden you're choosing places close to me, off of the assumption that I'm going to be there too, which I never knew that was part of the game. I didn't realize I was in on this.
I thought it'd just be nice to chill with one of my friends.
Yeah, sure, okay. You could. Yeah, all right. Whatever helps
can
you
play
sleep
that
on
card.
show. Yeah, it's kind of like when I was choosing colleges, I think I'm man enough to admit that I partially chose Albion because I was kind of afraid to go to school in North Carolina, which was one of my favorite choices was in North Carolina. But the idea of just moving away to North Carolina seemed a little intimidating, and Chad, I could admit that, I could admit
That's
that.
fair.
And I think it takes a lot to do that. And I understand you're not there yet regarding your journey with this van. And, this is why, and you have a therapist, though. It's not my job to get it out of you.
Yeah, it is. That's why
you're doing the work.
Podcast, Jared.
You're doing the work. And that's all that really matters is that you're doing the work.
You realize, based on what you're saying here, Jared, that means that when I go to Missouri this summer, you're going to have to tail my car just to make sure I'm going to be all right.
I would, but I have an electric car, so I can only go about 50 miles, and then I'm going to have to leave you from there.
It's okay. I'll get the solar panels. We can put them on the top of my van.
Yeah.
You drive close enough, and there we go.
I'm going to get like a mile of range every 6 hours from those solar panels.
Right. If I had a more powerful engine, maybe I could tow you, but that thing barely can get up a damn hill, so I don't think I'll be towing you very far.
Yeah, you have to be careful putting in a table into your van. That's gonna take off a second off of the 0 to 60 right
or
there.
3 people.
Hey, Chad, did you watch the latest SNL hosted by Elon Musk?
I didn't. I heard all about beforehand. He was
pitching
feeding votes and ideas from all of his Twitter followers, which does seem like a terrible idea.
I don't know why they chose him, other than obviously he's popular and stuff. But like, I don't get the sense that he's funny at all.
Chose him.
So the only reason I wanted to bring this up because there was a clip. I don't watch it either. I haven't watched SNL in forever. I don't give a shit. SNL is. I don't know who SNL is for. I don't know who watches SNL, to be honest with you. Because
it used to be the boomers.
I couldn't have. But now a lot of the boomers might be disgusted by all these. All these.
It's too
liberals.
woke, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Too woke.
But now with Elon's certainly no woke savior.
Take the red pill, says Elon.
So anyway, there was this one sketch, whatever they call it, sketch. That have you heard the acronym AAVE? Have you heard that acronym before?
African American.
Yes. Wow, very good.
Vernacular English.
Wow, damn!
Is that
and
right?
I do not have the ham horn ready because I was not expecting that.
Oh, come on, Jared! You know I would get that acronym right.
I don't because usually when you.
There we go.
Usually, when I ask you these things, I'm like, you don't have to guess. Like, you could just say no.
Jared, you said you don't know why we do this podcast. That right there, good sir, is why I do this podcast for the ham horns. For the ham horns.
Well, anyway, so SNL had this sketch, and they called it. Let me see what they called it. They called it Gen Z Hospital. So it's the Gen Z version of a soap opera, essentially.
Okay.
I'm going to play a little bit of you.
Copyright stricken?
Who gives a shit?
That's true. Let's hear.
Trigger alert. This is terrible.
Gen Z Hospital.
So they're in it's a soap opera scene, essentially, and they're all in a hospital. That's all you need to know.
Bro, Nobody's telling us anything. Is Bestie gonna be okay?
Nurse, we demand to know how our bestie is doing.
I'm sorry, bro. I told you I don't have that information yet.
Bruh, seriously?
I'm so pressed right now, bro.
Don't be pressed. The doctor will be in shortly, bro. Dead ass. Yo, if this doctor keeps leaving us on red, he's gonna catch hands on gang.
No. It's gonna be okay. Bestie cannot die like this.
Big facts. She's gonna make it, bro.
There's the doctor now.
So they just basically thought they could say bro and toss in a couple other slang terms, and then they have a sketch. Is that what happened right there?
Yeah, I guess. I think it's funny, the idea of like talking like kids, but everyone's like, this isn't Gen Z vernacular. This is just like a terrible impersonation of AAVE, African American Vernacular English.
It's just cringy.
Yeah, it was awful. That
Very
was
cringy.
awful. This is a comedy sketch, and you and I were just sitting here like watching it like it was C-SPAN. It was terrible. It was really bad. I mean, Elon Musk wasn't in that one specifically, but it was so bad. It was so bad, and this is exactly why I don't watch
I think
SNL.
you and I have had funnier banter back and forth in that sketch.
Yeah, bro, on facts, man.
Lit. Dead ass.
You know what this skit actually reminds me of? It
What?
reminds me of that news story I put on about kids taking their ACTs or whatever, and it was like and remember that that news? Oh, that was. I mean, they were trying. And I think that was funnier, to be honest with you. I don't know if they were meant to be funny, but anyway, that was terrible. It was really terrible. And you know, everyone's just talking about how they're just you know, that's not how Gen Zs talk. That's just how black people talk. You know.
Yeah.
You know, more examples of cultural appropriation. That's all I'm saying.
That's right, fam.
How dare you? Well, speaking of AAVE, do you want to get into some untranslatables?
Let's do it, dude. Let's do it. Let's get into some untranslatables, which are idioms, proverbs, sayings, axioms that don't always translate on a one-to-one basis into English. And we are your tried and true certified untranslatable professionals.
No cap.
I'm almost finishing my PhD in untranslatableology.
Wow. That's impressive.
You know, anyways, Jared, would you like to get us started with an untranslatable
Oh, wow.
today?
Thanks, Chad. That's very nice of you. I was not expecting that. My first untranslatable is Romanian, and it's te aburește. I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess that little squiggle off the bottom of the S would make it go shh.
Maybe, probably.
Well, yeah, wow. What you're right. I guess that makes sense. Te. He is throwing vapors at you.
They're lying. Why you lying?
Wow, Chad. I really did need to have this ham horn already. I didn't realize.
See? I come for the ham horns, Jared.
100.
That's right. No cap. No cap. All right, Jared, let me get you started with a Russian untranslatable. I love this one because it just sounds cool. So here we go. Ni sluhu, ni dluhu, which means neither heard nor smelt, or no rumors, no smell.
Okay, because at first when I heard neither heard nor smelt, that sounds like something that like a parent from like old school parent would say. No, like an old school parent would say, like if you go to a grocery store and they're like, you know, don't touch nothing, don't look at nothing, I'm not gonna buy you anything,
don't hear nothing, don't smell nothing.
I don't want to hear you, I don't want to smell you. We're coming in here for two things and that's it. But you say no rumors, no what? Sorry, I talked too much.
No rumors, no smell.
No rumors, no smell. Is that like just something doesn't seem right? Something's something's untrustworthy?
No, not quite. It would be like you know, pretty soon, not to bring your private life too much in the pod, but pretty soon you'll be moving into the Jared pad.
The J pad, but
maybe,
yeah, you're right.
The J pad
moving,
and you know, Jared heads out to the J pad, and for some odd reason, he decides to get a new phone number, and then my parents are like, "Hey, are you doing the podcast with Jared?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm not sure. He's at the J-Pad, but no rumor, no smell from Jared.
Oh, okay. It's just you haven't heard from someone.
There we go.
Or as
Yep.
the Gen Zs would say, I'm ghosting you.
That's right. That's right.
You've been
Exactly,
ghosted.
Jared. Exactly.
My next and last untranslatable is français. Casser de sucre sur le dos de quelqu'un.
Which means?
Breaking sugar on someone's back. Le sucre. De sucre, that's sugar.
Giving them a backhanded compliment.
No, but you're on the right track. Breaking sugar on someone's back. We have a untranslatable about...
Telling someone a white lie.
No, we have an untranslatable about... That's also back-related.
To stab someone in the back?
You're very
turn
close.
turn your back on
I don't know if
someone?
I don't know if it's that aggressive as stabbing someone in the back, but but that you're on the right track there.
Pat him on the back?
Breaking sugar on someone's back. No, it's just talking bad behind someone's back.
Oh, talking.
I don't know if you're theoretically stabbing someone in the back by
Talk
talking,
shit, get hit.
by talking behind their back, but I think it's a little light. It's like less than stabbing someone in the back. Stabbing someone in the back is like pure betrayal of some sort.
Well, let me give you one that is kind of a little bit similar but different. This is also Russian. Smoltret skvos palцы, which means to look through one's fingers.
Well, I mean, the imagery is like you see almost like a bad car accident. You see it, but you can't look away. Which, speaking of bad car accidents, very popular in Russia.
Oh yeah, those dash cam videos are crazy.
Is it like something? It's almost like he's so bad that you can't look away. Kind of.
I would say you're right. What would we call that though? Has to do with eye.
An eyesore.
Nope.
I don't know.
To turn.
To turn a blind eye to something.
There we go. Yep. To turn a blind eye or to ignore something. Yep. Very good.
I said the last one was my last one.
That was your last one? Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me give you one more Jared.
I don't like just going on and on with untranslatables, personally.
We
I
are the untranslatable podcast, so that's why I like them so.
I understand, but I don't like moments where we're like, and also I'm getting to the point where I don't even know how I still find new untranslatables.
It's magic,
I don't know.
Jared.
We've found over thousands of untranslatable at this point, and
that's true.
And I don't even know. I usually keep it to 2, but I know you like to give like 16, so please. Keep going.
So let me give you 3 of 16. No, this will be my last one for today.
Oh, 316.
This is Korean.
John 316.
Okay, here we go. This is Korean. Ga jenunge pyon era. I probably butchered that. That's probably not how you say that.
Nope.
But it means the crayfish sides with the crab.
It was just like it's just like people have their teams, and you can't be surprised that someone's not on your team or it's like, of course this person's on your side. The crayfish always, like say you and I, or say you're in an argument with your significant other. And she's like, well, my friend blah 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 said that you're an asshole, and it's like, well, of course the crayfish sides with the crab, she's your friend or whatever.
Right. Very good. Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Oh, that means I have to play the ham horn again. I don't need it. You like the ham horn. I don't need
the other
such
thing that I wanted to mention with
reinforcements.
Well, hey. I'm here. Life is to enjoy, Jared. That's all.
What
I'm
else
saying.
did you want to mention, Chad?
We have an English untranslatable that's kind of similar to this one, but we use birds.
Oh, birds of a feather flock together.
Yes, sir.
Is our untranslatable.
Yes, sir. Which can lead us to some coworker relations in different countries because
you really stretch for these segues. You do not have to give. You do not have to do segues.
Anyways, so with what I mean by
and
this
it still
here,
makes
Jared,
me mad about the one I laid up for you a couple episodes ago that you
that's
just ignored.
true. Yep, I missed the alley oop on that one. That's for sure, Jared. But no, the interesting thing I think is you do see, certain people at different workplaces tend to flock together, right? Like a lot of your higher ups a lot of times tend to congregate more with the higher ups.
Sure.
And you have your cliques and stuff, and I think that might even be a cross-cultural thing. I think in a lot of countries they have that type of thing going on in many workplaces.
Work is very cliquey. It's a very complicated relationship to expect essentially strangers to work together when you have little, for the most part, decision over who those strangers are that you're working with. Honestly, I think it leads to a little, the same sort of vibes you get in high school or something like that. And I feel like it might even be heightened a little bit because because you don't have as much expectation to work with people in high school in the same sort of way, where like everything you do for the most part has to some extent is reliant on what other people are doing as well. It's not just you working in some sort of vacuum, which a lot of the times it is in school.
For sure. Except for those pesky group projects.
Depends on who you get.
Right.
I've certainly, but yeah, for sure.
Jared got me for a group project, and he was just like, "Oh no, here we go."
Have we had a group project together? I don't think we have.
I don't think we did. No. Teachers knew we were homies, and so they were like, "No, they can't do a project together."
When I for my entire work career, which is not that long. I'm only 28, so I graduated when I was 21 or whatever. So what, 6-7 years? For that entire time, up until about a year or so ago, I've really been, or maybe 2 years at this point, however long I've been at this most recent job, I've really been firmly against like sharing any level of my private life. I mentioned early in the episode having to mention that I broke up with a girlfriend or whatever, and just lying for part of it just because it's easier than actually telling them the truth. In previous jobs, I wouldn't even bring up the fact that I have a girlfriend.
Right.
Like I had one coworker who found out I had a girlfriend when I had a girlfriend when I was leaving the company. And we had hung out like once after I had already left. And he's like, "You had a girlfriend?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, this is actually a different one that I'm talking about now. I had a different one before, but I don't talk about anything."
What's up, player?
But I'm starting to. No, I worked at that job for 4 years, bro, and I don't say anything about I never said anything about my personal life. But I'm starting to get to a point now. Well, I'm kind of there where I'm starting to realize that. Like the social aspect to a certain extent plays a role in like your professional career. So you can't just be some sort of you can't get by just being some sort of professional robot that just get by and say, well, this person does great work.
Speak for yourself, Jared.
This person does great work, but I know nothing about this person. I have no real relationship with this person, but they give all their assignments on time. And so I'm starting to realize that you kind of have to have some sort of
personal touch, Jared.
Exactly. That is part of the But honestly, to me, I think I still do it as it is still sort of, it's very strategic,
Right. Well, you can tell your coworkers, you hang out with your friends who are into camping.
Yeah, okay.
All that good stuff.
No, see, as I said, it's strategic. I know not to bring you up. For example, none of my coworkers certainly don't know that I do this, unless they stalk me on social
alter
media.
Ego life.
It's not even that. I don't consider it some sort of alter ego. It's just why do I have to? It's just
intertwine
these two
the work
things
and the play.
There's no connection here. Why am I trying to? What's the point of trying to make some connection?
Right. For sure. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. And I do think other countries do a better job of separating the work and personal balance a little bit more. Like I do think, at least talking to some of my friends in Germany, it seems like not necessarily that they are robots, but it seems like they do keep it a bit even. They don't divulge nearly as much private information as we might over here in the States, for example.
So they're less likely to use, or the German culture, they're less likely to use work as a friend meeting. space.
It seems that way.
Because in the U.S., it seems like a lot. Like my parents, some of their best friends are people that they've met through work, and they don't work together anymore. But they like most. Most of the people I can think of that are like their closest friends they met at work, and so in Germany that's probably, you're saying, less common of a thing that would happen where your best friends are coming from work.
I think that's what it seems like, at least with a lot of the Germans I've spoke with. It seems like they do tend to separate that. And also, too, I think what's really fascinated me, Jared, when I was living in China was just seeing how a couple of my Chinese friends, when their bosses were like, we're going out to dinner, it wasn't like hey, like, we're going out to dinner, you guys can come if you want. It was like, no, we're all going out to dinner and you have to come, kind of a thing.
Interesting. So, interesting. So, like, it's almost, well, I guess that, yeah, okay.
Did I just blow your mind a little bit?
I don't even know. I can't even comprehend that, because I'm just thinking, literally I'm thinking of how many, like, workplace happy hours I've skipped out of and not come to.
You'd be fired after you're like third week on the job, Jared.
But I guess while I was like skipping over my words is because I was trying to figure out how we were talking recently. We had our last episode was about like dining etiquette and just the idea of how in China, their dining style is a lot more quote unquote family style, where everyone's sharing from multiple dishes rather than their own dishes. So I think the skip in my voice was trying to connect like the relationship between people, and like how the food aspect, the eating aspect is like a required, essentially like an expected element, and how that would relate.
Not just that, but also like. One time we were supposed to meet up with our friend when we were going out. He texted us. He was like, I probably won't be able to join you until 2 a.m. because I'm out having dinner with my boss, and then he wants to go to some
2
a
a.m.
bar.
I'm like, bro, I'm already have been asleep for 3 hours at that point.
Right? Yeah, but it's a whole different type of environment, and he worked for a tech company over in China. So
do you see a lot more like friend relationships in Chinese workplaces?
I don't know if I would call it that. It's more of a power dynamic, and like the boss says,
so they're not even friends. This is just part of the. I do know, especially from that, what is it, the American Factory, I think is what that documentary was called, where that we talked about a while ago, where the Chinese company set up shop in the U.S. and the cultures really clashed. There really is a
quite
culture.
The documentary.
Yeah, it was. But the culture really did seem like it's... like, first of all, there's no such thing as like leaving before your boss. It feels like, it's like you leave. And there's one high up boss at my office said that he would, when he was in the office, he was talking about how they're trying to change this with the whole work from home thing. But when he was in the office, because I think this is also something that happens in the U.S. When he was in the office, he would, be working late or whatever, working at whatever time he would work, and he would leave, but then maybe say he'd forget something. And he'd like have to go back to his desk, and even if it was like 4 minutes later, all of his the people that work for him would have been gone already. They're just essentially just waiting for him to leave so they could leave. And I can imagine that would definitely be the case in the Chinese working culture too, where it's like especially in the culture, both the U.S. and the American cultures are very like work over. Like self-care, essentially.
Right. And I think Europe does a much better job of the actual self-care over work. And that's why I think, Jared, that the Europeans aren't quite as, like, they hang out with their coworkers during their free time as much.
Yeah. I saw that in France, employees are required to disconnect after work hours. Like, the idea of like emailing a boss or not even a boss, just emailing someone or doing work like after hours, like you're the weirdo, And I have someone that I work with, and he sends emails at all like you'll get an email from him at like Saturday at like 11 p.m. and it's like, what are you doing? Or it'll be like just the most random times. It's like Sunday at like 6 in the morning. It's like, why is any email being sent at this time? I remember when I was early Top Gear episode was they were driving these the three of them were driving these supercars through Italy, and they got pulled over by the police, but they got pulled over because they were clearly filming, and so they got pulled over because there was some sort of law at the time about working on Sunday. You had to have some sort of special permit to work on Sunday.
Okay.
So they were trying to figure out if they were allowed to be working on Sunday.
That's hilarious. That's very European. You know what else is a kind of funny European workplace culture thing, Jared, that we don't really have in the U.S. is, we have it, but they're very different, is the like out of office automatic email replies, right? Like I've had a couple times where I emailed somebody for something, and it was even, I think it was someone like at a consulate, and they're like, I am off for the entire summer. This email will be deleted. Please email this person if you want to, if you need, if
off
if
for the
it's an
entire
emergency.
summer. What kind of job is this?
Or like a month or something.
That's a big difference, but okay.
Right. But that's a really funny thing, I think, between Europeans versus Americans is like Americans out of office will be like, I'm getting like spleen surgery or my appendix removed tomorrow, but I'll still be available from 2 to 4 p.m. before I go under anesthesia. Contact me on my cell if you have any emergencies.
You're not even exaggerating. I
know.
see so many out of office emails that like, I'll be on, vacation or whatever. But if it's an emergency, then you can get like essentially you either contact this person, but if you really need me, I'll answer. Like everyone that I see is like, I will answer if you really need me, but I am on vacation. So you're essentially being like, you can hit me up if you really want to. Right. One of the biggest scams, by the way, that I've ever experienced is at this job that I have now is the work cell phone. It's both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because
reachable.
Some people like put their work emails on their personal phone, which I've never done before, but I think is a terrible idea. But now I find myself when I travel, just bringing it with me, and it's like, well, why am I even bringing it with me?
I got 2 phones.
I don't like walk around with it. But there is something about like, I just want to see, if something if something comes up, I'm not going to do anything about it, but I want to see. It's like, well, why? What difference does it make? But that's what they want. They want you to always be connected,
That's right. Always be reachable. Here's kind of a funny out of office email, Jared, that I would definitely get a chuckle at if I received it. Hello, I'm away for the weekend. Back on Wednesday. I'm in Macedonia, drinking coffee, eating lots of food. Should have internet in the evenings to answer important emails. Please send photos of penguins to Twitter to alert me that you sent an email. This is the most important.
Yeah, see, I mean, it's clever, but that shit just makes me roll my eyes. I don't need clever from my frolics. I really don't need whimsy, and I don't need clever. Am I wrong? Am I the weirdo for not needing that from my work people? Like, I don't need your jokes.
I expect that from my work colleagues, Jared. I expect the jokes.
Why can't you just answer the question?
Because I expect the jokes, Jared.
Okay.
I mean, I guess all you really need, right, is I will be gone from this time period and contact this person if there's an emergency, right?
Yeah. Okay. I just don't like it. It was cute or whatever. I'm just like, but if I were to get that email, first of all, I wouldn't read it. Like, I would see that as an out of office message and just move on.
Yep. Yeah.
So like, there's no chance I'm even gonna get to the line about penguins. No chance, because I'm gonna read the first like 2 words and be like, okay, you're gone.
Oh, out of office. All right. I know what I need to know.
But yeah, some people. Have you ever done happy hours with your coworkers?
No, but I did occasionally go grab a brewski or 2 with my teaching colleagues back in Chomutov. In China, we We hung out a couple times, me and some of the other teachers, but that was more we went out to eat.
I guess happy hours is like an American thing. You've never really, most of your jobs as an adult have been in various other countries.
Yep. And now my U.S. job, of course, is remote. So we did a remote happy hour. That was fun.
Yeah. I've done a couple of those. That's another one of those things where I'm really. It feels like another work assignment almost, you know.
Yep.
And I hate to say that. Sometimes I don't really understand honestly how some people become like friends at work, because I do have some coworkers that are like proper friends. And I'm going to be honest with you. Listen, this is a sharing moment right now. I know you don't share anything; you just make weird jokes. But I'm going to share an honest moment. Sometimes some of my coworkers are very good friends together, and they have like dinner parties together. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, why don't I
feel left out?
I do feel left out a little bit. I do, and I'm like, I'm clear. I wonder. I'm like, am I putting out some sort of vibe where it's like, don't invite me to this shit, because that is the vibe I've put out for the past 7 years or whatever of my working career. But sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll go. I'd go if you invited me.
Right.
So I do feel left out a
Maybe
little
you
bit.
just need to have a dinner party of your own. That's how you do it.
That is a great recommendation. That is honestly how you do it. And I could imagine that would be the proper thing to do. Like if you want to be involved in these things, make it happen yourself. But you know me, come on.
Hey, I'll bring over a bottle of wine and talk you up from college.
This is my life
your
partner,
college
Chad.
buddy.
Oh, that's why he's single. Okay. He's not really single. Yeah, that actually would be the way to do it, to be honest with you. But man, that's such a big step.
You're a good cook?
Yeah, I've never cooked for a large group of people, though. That's such a different style of cooking, But I'm sure I could do it. I'm not trying to say I can't do it. That's a good point. That's actually a good point. I'm probably not going to do it anytime soon. I got this new house now, too. Now's the moment to be like, oh, how about a housewarming? But, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Not going to do a housewarming party?
It's a pandemic, Chad.
That's true. That's fair.
No,
Will there be an untranslatable studios in your new crib?
Yes, but I don't think it's going to be honestly, I don't think it's going to be as good as my previous two. This one's a great one.
Nothing beats the Harry Potter closet.
The Harry Potter closet was the best for sure. The fact that even worked as a thing is amazing.
Worked great. It was perfect.
I love that little tiny hole in under my staircase. But yeah, I'll have a space. But the problem is it's going to double as a guest room. So and it's wood floors too, which is nicer. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna have to figure out how to contain some of this echo. What does this do? How do we get into this? Weren't we talking about workplace a second ago?
Yes. We're talking about a work like dinner parties.
Did you know in Japan that they encourage midday napping?
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. I mean, they do that in China as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, remember? I told you that story about the guy that was napping on the chain link fence.
Yes, I do remember that. I do remember that.
That was crazy.
But I thought maybe but would you see people napping at your school in the offices?
Yeah. Like we had to be careful going into the teachers' lounge from 12:30 to 2 because usually if the lights were off, you would see, because they had these comfy ass couches, dude, in the teaching lounges. There were I think there were 2 of them, if I remember correctly, on each side. So that means 4 people could take a nap. 8 if you want to get real cozy.
Did you ever take a nap?
No, I can't fall asleep like in a room like that
with strangers walking around.
Yeah, exactly.
That's weird. No, I probably couldn't either.
Right. And knowing me, I'd probably be like snoring, maybe drooling.
Yeah,
a little
I know.
bit,
That's so like revealing to be. I mean, listen, I don't want to talk about a long-term relationship with my coworkers, let alone see them have them see me asleep.
That's at your most vulnerable, dude.
Who knows what kind of weird shit I'll say in my sleep?
Wake up and they drew a unibrow on you, and Harry Potter lightning bolt on your forehead or something.
A dick on my forehead.
That too, maybe if you got really immature coworkers.
I work in a frat house. I didn't tell you that.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, I'm not gonna say I couldn't nap. I only say that because we've grown up in a culture where that's considered weird.
Right.
So I could if I grew up in Japanese culture, I'm sure I could. But yeah, that's just a random thing that I found to be a weird one that I couldn't probably not get on board with.
Yeah, that's fair. You know what is another interesting aspect as well, Jared, of working culture, and I think it does also somewhat relate to the way coworkers relate with one another, is vacation time. Because, I mean, if you think about it, think about all of the people in the U.S. who work in the U.S., most people don't get a ton of vacation, which also means you have to spend more time with your coworkers. I wonder if that brings you closer together, or if it makes you like, I hate this person because you got to work with them so much more. Because like I feel like the key of a good vacation, Jared, is you get away. You're not thinking about work. You're not thinking about that, stupid argument you had with your coworker maybe, or that, disagreement you had, whatever. You can come back refreshed, recharged, ready to go.
Yeah. When's the last vacation that you went on? You don't go on vacations. No, I mean, you haven't been on a vacation since, we've talked about it. You certainly haven't been anywhere with the damn van.
Right.
But you haven't been on a vacation in general, I imagine, since you've been back from Asia.
Well, true. I did go to one vacation I took to Ohio with my dad to see my sister.
That's impossible. No vacation happens in Ohio. You can't have vacation in Ohio. That's actually
fair.
funny because one of the few vacations I went on over the past year was also
to Ohio. So you also, Jared, did not go on a vacation.
It was work, being in that shithole.
And actually, Jared, it turns out that in the States, we rank as one of the worst countries when it comes to vacation time. U.S.
Oh, the U.S. Oh, yeah,
US.
of course.
Guess what countries are at the very top?
Some European countries like Finland or Sweden.
France, UK, Italy, Luxembourg, Sweden.
Yeah, of course.
Austria,
all the European countries.
And so on and so forth.
All
exactly.
the Western European countries. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Which, once again, though, Jared, I think goes back to my argument about the kind of work-life balance. And I think there is a more clear line, it seems like, with a lot of the Europeans that I talk to. It seems like Americans that I know, we love our jobs and we're so attached to our jobs that our jobs kind of make us who we are, quote unquote. Whereas Germans that I know or Europeans that I know, they might be like, no, like I'm an IT person, but I'm gonna go hiking now because it's the weekend, and that's not my only thing.
I know that's true that like we don't really, we're not big fans of vacation here, but every job I've had, I feel like my bosses have encouraged me to use my vacation time.
They're like, Jared, get out of the office. You need to go on vacation.
But they don't encourage it. I feel like it's not like encouraging it because rest and relaxation is important, but it's more encouraging it like in a financial sense, where it's like you're sort of wasting your money by not using it. You're not really using your money to its fullest by not taking your vacation, because that's just free, essentially, labor that you're giving to your employers.
Right.
So a lot of I feel like I've had a lot of employers say to use it, but the thing is, I feel like I don't get a lot of encouragement during the year. It's usually like, November, December time starts rolling around. They're like, use your vacation. And really all it usually amounts to, for me, so many years, it's amounted to me like just the final two weeks of the year just being like, all right, I'm just going to take these days off and do nothing, essentially. Like I'm just sitting at home instead of at work because I have these days.
Staycation.
Exactly.
For sure. Well, Jared, I want to also talk about today some cultural differences that can happen in the workplace, because I think that does really affect workplace relationships as well. So one of the first things I want to talk about here is the idea of universalism versus particularism. So the difference here, Jared, well, have you ever heard either of these terms? Any idea what these terms might mean?
I've heard universalist in a religious sense.
Okay.
But please, you can explain them to me.
Well, basically what it boils down to, Jared, is what is more important, the rules or the relationships. So universalism is all about the rules, right? Well, I would love to give you this job, but the rules are we have to post this posting and actually do a formal interview process, right? That would be universalism. Particularism is more about the situation and the relationship. So the way someone reacts and the decision someone makes can vary greatly based on the situation and the people involved. So, Jared, what countries do you think would be more universalist countries in terms of the workforce?
The U.S. is very universalist.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot of, I feel like, dumb sort of rules regarding like level of education you have to have for certain things, especially when it comes to like higher education stuff, like PhDs and and masters
my
and
dude.
stuff like that.
You're telling me.
Yeah, for sure. You're in academia.
We could do a whole episode on that.
I'm in a situation where I'm about to get an MBA out of with what is it called when you're doing something but you have no interest in doing it? Reluctantly. I'm about to reluctantly get an MBA because I'm quote unquote supposed to.
Right.
And so, that's how you get to the next level.
That's the rules, Jared.
It's like, well, and so I would imagine. Oh, I saw this that India is also pretty universalist. I would also say that maybe countries like Japan, Korea. I know Korean Air had that thing a couple of years ago where a plane went down because they have they're not rules, but it's sort of like just a culture not to tell like someone that's a higher level than you what to do or like that they're doing something wrong. And so there was some issue with the plane that the co-pilot didn't want to tell the pilot about. Because that's you're essentially telling your superior that they're doing something wrong, and so the plane crashed and everyone died.
Ooh, that's rough. That is rough.
What a weird hype man I have behind me. Ooh, that's rough. Yeah, Chad, it is rough. And so I'd imagine that those countries would be considered universalist as well. What's the other one is
Particularism.
I can't think of any particularist countries.
You can't really? Where connections are more important than the rules?
I mean, that sounds like U.S. as well, to be honest with you.
Well, in some degrees, yes. Russia, South America, China. South America is not a country, but countries in South America. Where I could totally see how that works. Like if you have a friend who knows a friend, oh, no problem. That kind of thing.
I mean, that's super American too. Just to be fair,
that's true.
That is super American.
Sure.
I mean, how do half the people in politics and presidential cabinets they get it just because they know somebody, not because they're theoretically qualified. I mean, look at the last administration. There was an EPA person that didn't believe in global warming. There was a Secretary of Education that hated public schools. Like it had nothing to do with the job. It was just like, oh no, I like this person.
And I think all relationships in the world and a lot of jobs around the world are can be boiled down to that, Jared, a lot of times, like that's
exactly what I was getting at the beginning of this pod, where I was saying I've gotten to a point where I realize I can't just go to work and be Mr. Professional. I have to give up some.
Gotta be Mr. Professional and friendly, Jared.
Exactly. I have to build some sort of fra-league relationship, because that making friends and knowing people is, I've found out, just as important as doing the work. I would say they're about equal level. If not, knowing people might be more useful than actually being good at your job.
Which leads us to the next aspect of some cultural miscommunications, Jared. The idea of individualism versus communitarianism, right? So individualism is pretty obvious, right? So you're the one just looking out for yourself. You try to do the job as much as you can on your own independently, right? And a lot of countries that have this cultural element are the U.S., Israel, Canada, Great Britain, Scandinavia, New Zealand, Australia, and Switzerland. And then communitarianism is where the community comes first and the people highly regard themselves as being part of a group or a team. The group provides safety and support. In return, the group always comes before the individual. The individual always has to be loyal to the group. Countries with this type of dimension, many countries in Latin America, Mexico, India, Africa, which is a continent, not a country, and Japan.
Have you ever been in a corporate culture? Have you ever worked for like a corporation?
Nope. It's been all education
Sounds
stuff.
like it. Because this is that idea is, I mean, I agree with what you said or whatever, but even all those countries that you named, the whole corporate culture, the whole point of it, or at least not the whole point of it, but what they're really trying to do is drill into you that you're in this sort of communitarian or whatever you called it society where it's like a team's a big the word team or like a team member or like a is huge, and so I mean I agree that might not be what's actually happening, but that is a common, like a super common aspect of every company I ever worked at, is this idea of we're a team. How do we do this as a team?
Teamwork makes the dream work, baby.
Yeah. All right, hype man. What else do you have?
I have no idea. Another aspect though, Jared, too, about cultural misunderstanding in the workplace, I think a lot of times can be due to like not always being familiar with the hierarchical structure of different places, right? And even something that we might not think too much of in the U.S., but even like addressing someone with the proper title. Like I work with a lot of international faculty, and I always make sure to ask them what title should I address you by, because you don't want to, in some countries, if they have their doctorate, their PhD, you don't call them Jared, you call them Dr. Jared.
Yeah, it's not Mr., it's Doctor. How dare you?
Exactly.
That's Dr. Jill Biden to you.
Exactly. So I think that's another thing to keep in mind as well, is really be careful how you address people and make sure to ask them the proper way to address them. And the other reason why I say this as well, Jared, is because I also work with people who are from other countries, so they have, foreign names, and then you hear people mispronounce their names all the time. And I don't know about these people. I don't even have their names, but it drives me crazy to hear people butcher their names, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's another reason why it can be useful to ask someone, how would you like me to call you? Is it Jared? Is it Dr. Jared? Is it Sir Jared? Is it, so on and so forth. So I think that's really important in terms of respect as well, to help you build a better relationship with your coworkers.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm so bad at names. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at it.
You just say, hey, you.
It's another
red tie.
Another reason why my coworkers don't invite me anywhere.
Sorry, we're gonna have some slapping dinner parties, Jared.
Yeah, this
no
is
cap.
It's
gonna be lit. We'll see. We're gonna go out in the woods so we have peace and quiet, so we can thoroughly plan your epic dinner party.
Okay, perfect. That sounds like I'm gonna get murdered.
We can just hear the what is it? Is it cicadas? That's what they're called, right? Those crazy bugs that have that scream.
Sure. Yeah, a cicada. Sure. No matter what you said, I was going to say yes. So, yes.
Sure, you just made up some wacky bug name.
I would have said yes.
Right?
That's what a good co-host does, Chad. Yes, and.
Exactly. So what are some other things, Jared, that you can think of in terms of, obviously in every country, work relationships would be different. But if you want to at least have a good relationship with your coworker, do you have any kind of universal tips? You've worked in the corporate world, so I'd love to hear your take.
I'm not here to give tips. If you've gleaned anything from what I've said, then that's good. I don't give tips. Something that I wanted to ask you about, though, was how do you feel about people that swear at work?
It depends, is my answer. I think if it's between colleagues, it's fine. But if if I was giving a webinar for work and I was like, yeah, and if you look at this shit over here on this tab, I don't think that would be very professional. I think it depends.
I know someone that is pretty loose with their use of swear words, in mixed company, not just, and it blows my mind where it's like, there are executives on the line. This person's just like, and honestly, I kind of respect it.
And then if we look at this fucking graph over here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that unnecessary, but it is unnecessary. But I kind of respect it because it's like, you're the same person at work and not at work. I've built up like a robotic persona. I'm like a actor. Hello,
I am Jared.
Yes, that's how a robot sounds. I'm like an actor. Like I've got Denzel Washington level skills. How I comport myself at the office.
Nice.
Except for when I said the N-word on the Teams meeting a couple of weeks ago. Other than that, I'm pretty good. Denzel even did a movie or two that wasn't great. But
you can't win everything.
But so I kind of have respect for it, but at the same time, I don't understand that level of confidence. I really don't get it.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend swearing at the workplace unless it's like with colleagues who are.
I still won't.
Cool with it. Yeah,
I'll drop. I still won't. I still won't. And maybe this is yet another reason why I don't get invited to anything because
Jared's at work and he's just like, "Oh darn, oh shucks."
Yeah,
golly.
Yes,
golly, Steve.
I mean, I don't say golly. I'm not white, but that is.
Okay, what's the black equivalent, Jared, of golly?
I might say damn it. But nothing ever bad happens where I need to say, damn it. That doesn't come up that often. I would say shoot, probably.
Shit.
Oh, yeah. That's not swearing because it's a D.
That's right.
Shit.
Yeah, see, you're
but I have to really enunciate that D.
Yeah, exactly.
What time do you, another thing that's big for me is, don't worry about it. No, I don't
I
have
want to hear
else.
it. I'm curious now.
What time do you, showing up and leaving is one that is on my mind. That's a big culture thing because I've worked at a lot of places where it's certainly like, I'm not going to speak for anyone else. I've certainly stayed late just because I didn't want it to look like I was leaving at a certain time. So it might be say 5 o'clock, and I honestly am doing nothing. But I'm like, I'll leave in like 30 minutes.
Right.
Not right now.
I'll just scroll some memes and see what's popping on the Twitter.
And I get the feeling that there's not that much of that, at least in the European work culture, where it's like, hey, if you're not working, there's no reason to be at the office.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I hate to say this, but I think I definitely was showing my American roots when I was living in the Czech Republic because I was usually one of the first ones in our office. I'm not bashing my coworkers because they were hard workers and great teachers, but I was definitely there. First thing in the morning, I was usually one of the last to leave.
But you grow up in a culture where being the first there and the last one to leave, like that's that hustle hard grind shit, like that's how you earn your leisure. That's how
you know what, Jared? I wake up and I piss excellence.
Exactly. That's that hashtag grind all day. This shit doesn't come from sitting on the sofa and just half-assing.
That's right.
And so and I would imagine at least it's probably built into you where it's like you're showing them that you're a go-getter, that you're a hard worker, that you're committed to this job. But I get the vibe that they don't even have that connection to showing up late or staying late all the time.
They don't. They're like, why the hell is this kid always at the school? Yeah. He needs to get some hobbies or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But for us, it's like, because I still certainly, even though I can sort of intellectualize that it's kind of dumb, I certainly still have this vibe, even from work from home, where it's like, I'm going to just at least keep my computer on a little bit longer so it says I'm online, because I want them to know that I'm not just like stopping as soon as the workday is over because it makes it look like I'm not committed or I'm weak or something.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting how that works with U.S. work culture, but I don't think it's a healthy thing. Yet I still do it to this day. So
yeah, because we have this idea in the back of our head that it's going to get us ahead. And it probably will. And honestly, in the U.S. at least, it probably will.
Right.
This person's always here and ready to get the job done. It's like, I'm really not ready to get the job done, but I am always here.
That's
those
right.
those two things are not related.
Hey, but some people can't even do one of those two things.
That's
So,
true. That's true.
you know,
And once again, that's you thinking that you're getting ahead by doing those things.
that's right. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because you're pissing
Yeah.
excellence. Another
I will
great-
say though, if you are in another country working for the first time, I would highly recommend just if your colleagues do invite you to do something, take them up on it. Because I mean, some of the best memories I have so far, Jared, from my work and my travels abroad have been when people have invited me to stuff and I've been like, you know what, yeah, that'd be fun. Let's try it out. You know, like one thing was, it was just like a random Saturday or Sunday. And I went to my coworker's house and her and her husband were grilling outside and had like a keg of beer. And it was just a great Saturday, hanging out with their dogs and just drinking some tasty brews and having some really good stuff on the bobby. It was definitely a good time.
Yeah, I would certainly take my coworkers up on those things if they invited me.
It's all right, Jared. We are going to. I'm either going to send this episode to all of your coworkers,
Yeah.
or we know that's not going to happen.
Exactly.
So,
that's why
we just have
that's
to
why you saw
come
the
up
lack
with
of fear in my
Right.
Like, yeah, okay.
That's why we just have to come up with a date and time for your dinner party, and
No offense,
we'll be
but
good to go.
What do you know about? Well, yeah, actually, I take that back. You actually are a great party host. I just can't imagine coming to you for advice for a dinner party. It's like just
you don't
because.
think I got Google?
But I know how to, I guess, cook, and you know how to do party stuff. Like you know how to host
See?
a party.
See,
So you handle the party
Teamwork,
aspect.
baby.
I'll handle the dinner aspect.
that works for me.
You just be at the end of it. You just become friends with all my coworkers, and I'm like, "Hey,
Right.
Chad, what'd you do last weekend?" Oh, I went out to a bar with your coworker.
I was hanging out with Jerry, and like on Tuesday, Susan
What?
and I were going to
I
go to
didn't
the
hear about
farmer's
this.
market. Right? Oh man, that
Oh
would
yeah,
be rough,
I wasn't
wouldn't
supposed
it?
to tell you. Actually, don't
Right.
tell him I told you.
Hey, buddy, can you do the podcast next weekend? Oh, next weekend. I'm really sorry, but
I'm going
your
apple
coworker
picking.
Phil, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going
it's-
apple
it's
picking
interesting.
with your coworkers' kids. Actually, I babysit them now occasionally.
right. What is another
their
interesting workplace relation type of thing as well, Jared, is collective fitness. Like, for
Dude,
example,
that's so
teachers at my school
crazy.
used to play badminton. I know in China they have like classes, different classes, or sometimes the teachers will meet up and like play sports together. But I think that's a great way to foster work time relationships.
My team, the greater team, not just a few of us, have like some workout app that where for the collective fitness thing. And this is the first time I've ever done something like this. And honestly, once again, here's my fears of letting too much information out. I was doing it for a bit. I was trying to be involved with the extracurricular I was trying to be involved with the extracurricular activities, but I did not like that, essentially just, since we're working from home, their point was, we want you to get active specifically during lunchtime, but any time of the day, we just want you to be active and not sitting at
Right.
your desk all day long. And so I would go on walks during lunch and log it, but I didn't like that it tracked my, the route, and there was no
watching
way
where you're going.
there was no way you could hide, just do the workout and hide the actual route, which I was trying, I'll do it. I just don't want you to see my starting and ending point at my house every day.
Right.
I don't know why. I don't think any of my coworkers are going to come
That's
stalk
why you
me.
walk a block down the street, Jared, and then you start it.
That's too much. It's too much. Now it sounds like I'm trying to avoid the cops. This is too
right.
much.
Cut off your ankle bracelet, Jared, and just go.
Exactly. It literally seems like I'm doing that. And it's like, all right, if they do this, they'll think I'm still home, but I'll still get the workout in. And so I was like, no, I'm not, it just wasn't worth it to me. But there's just another block for me, a roadblock for me as far as letting myself be seen by my coworkers.
Right. That's fair. I want to give a couple tips on specific cultures, just some do's or don'ts. We did talk about in our last episode when we were discussing dining etiquette. This also goes for kind of the same thing in those countries. If you are having a luncheon, passing things with your left hand. In a lot of countries in the Middle East, some countries in Africa, also I believe in India as well.
Which we said last episode, by the way.
Yep. In case you missed it. Another one, though, Jared, that I found interesting, I was not aware of this, is if you are working with a colleague in Nigeria, you do not want to give them the standard thumbs up, because I think that's the equivalent to the middle finger over there. So that's one to know. And this one kind of surprised me, Jared, is if you're working with, or more likely if you're working in Argentina, you might feel surprised that and you may meet an Argentinian colleague, and he or she may give you a mock kiss on your right cheek in professional or social spheres. I knew about that obviously socially, but I could not imagine like a work meeting and like going and having a coworker do a fake kiss on the cheek. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The use of mock, it's not a fake kiss. It's like that. It's like the cheek situation.
Right.
Yeah, I bet you they probably do that in like France too.
Probably. It's like, why do we need to be touching our cheeks here, people? You know?
I wonder if that's going away because of COVID. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot less of it happening now, but that's not just a French. I mean, they do that all over Europe and South America, and so I wonder if they're getting to a place where they're realizing that they can kiss just a little less. I don't know.
I think after all is said and done, Jared, people are going to be kissing more.
That's true. Forget this fake mock kiss. Give me the real thing.
Right?
Just walking into the office.
Talk about a headache for HR. Oh,
lay
man.
one on me.
Yeah. My coworker tried to slip me some tongue, and that was not the agreed work.
Hey,
work
listen, you can kiss
scenario.
me, but we're not. No tongues.
Right? Exactly.
Let's keep it professional.
Exactly. We need to draw the line somewhere, Jared. That's for sure. Yeah, but it is interesting just how, different work relationships kind of work out in different cultures, and just how that can affect the way you work. I cannot imagine joining my boss for a, 10:30 p.m. Korean barbecue followed by a 2 a.m. drunk fest at the, karaoke bar. But hey, in some Asian cultures that might happen,
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you.
Pretty interesting, but I think one thing us Americans could learn from the Europeans is balancing that work-life balance a little bit better.
Sure. If you want to be average.
But maybe one thing the Europeans could learn from us Americans is I do think a lot of Americans are good friends with their coworkers. And I think there are certainly some positive aspects of that that play out in the office as well. So anyways, Jared, that's my 2 cents for today. Feel free to take us out with that beautiful song of ours, and let us know what your thoughts are on workplace relationships in different countries and cultures at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. You can check us out on Instagram and YouTube, Untranslatable Podcast, and also please slide into those DMs on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. And please, 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. So as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and do svidania. Well, buddy, sorry for roping you into camping. I guess let me just rope you into some bonfiring. How's that?
Yeah, you don't have to apologize because I'm not doing it. Yeah, I'll come check on you, make sure everything's okay. Bring you some snacks.
Well, I was hoping
we
could
me some Jets pizza.
That's right. I was actually hoping we could have some classic s'mores or something.
Okay.
Would be good. I've been debating if I want to get, because I have the little camping stove thing, but I'm also wondering if I want to order, because they're not that big and they're not that expensive, like a little campfire grill, because that would be like a bigger